Hi everyone, my name's Lou Sims and welcome to my channel. It's the start of another new month, which means it's got to be collab time with a wonderful bunch of creatives from Crafting Together with All Brands. So each month what we do is we pick a theme and then we go off and we create using that theme as our starting point. And this month is sunshine and showers. But I wanted to do something a little bit different. So what I wanted to do was, I might not have something or a product or an item that fits technically the word sunshine or showers, but I wanted to take it down a different route. So I was thinking more sunshines were yellow, showers were blue. So now let's look at the colours that those two words evoke. And that's how my project's going to go. So I've created my actual panels and I've die cut them ahead so I can move the dies now out of the way. Next, what I've done is I've taken my Shady Designs hanging garden stencil and I've used a piece of parchment and I've put it through my die cutting machine with the embossing sandwich you do. So now I've actually embossed the design. I kept it on there so you could see. So now I have an embossed design. And I ran it through twice because I wanted the parchment to go all crinkly. So, you know, like give the illusion of the rain when it comes down. Okay, I'm probably milking the theme a little bit, but that was in my head. So I've got the parchment and I've got the frames. And now the next thing I want to do is do a little bit of stamping. So I'm going to clear these and we'll get the stamping ready. I'm going to be using my Shady Designs floral frames. And I want to use this corner element from the stamp set to create another frame. So let's just grab that and I'll show you what I mean. So I'm just going to ink this up and I'm going to start down in the corner here. I'm working on a bigger piece of card than I probably need, but I will then stamp in the gaps in between, you know, with all the different, fill up the gaps. So I've got some more stamped images. Gosh, that sounded like I needed to put a new set of teeth in, didn't it? Right, so we've got that bit there. And then I'm just going to do exactly the same. So now I'm joining those two pieces up. So this now makes my frame. So those two pieces go together. So they can be a corner or I can link them together and they make a frame which looks, you know, like that shape, which is what I wanted. I wanted a nice elongated panel. Now I have gone ahead and prepped and I've literally taken that panel, I've cut it out and I've coloured it. Let's turn that piece of card over so you can see. So I've cut it all out and I've coloured it in already, and I've kept the colours quite simple. What I've also did on the excess of that card was I stamped out a little bit of florals, cut them out, and I've coloured them to match up, and they'll be part, you know, of the design. Those little flowers come from the same stamp set. Now on a scrap piece of, well, it's not a scrap piece of card, on another piece of card, I've taken some of the my other dies from Shady Designs, and I've, as you can see, I've cut some butterflies out, and we use them differently. And then I've cut this beautiful spiral design, and I'm just going to colour that with oxides. And I've left the die cut in the actual sheet because it's quite delicate. I've just found it easier to cut that way. So we've got all of those bits there and they'll just pop out from the card as and when I need them. But just for now, I'm going to keep them in the card because it keeps them all in a safe place. Right, I'm going to work on the parchment now. And I want to add a little bit of colour to it. Now, it's going to be tricky because I'm going to put it on a piece of white, which means I know it's like white on white, but it just will help you see the pattern a little bit more and take away from the wood, hopefully, as I get going. Now, I'm going to work on the reverse. So I've turned it over because I want to work from behind and not have the bulk of the ink. And I'm just going to tear a piece of card. Now, if you've got a stencil that's got like a cloud shape, or do that, or a die. But I'm just going to tear a piece of card for now. And I just want to add in a little bit of cloud. So I'm going for Salty Ocean. I might as well use this bit of card because it will show up, but when I turn it over, it won't be as, you know, as pronounced. Whereas if I go for too light an ink, you won't see it through. So all I want to do is, I'm just thinking about, yeah, and I just want to add a tiny little bit of colouring to it. So it's going to be really, really subtle. Okay, whilst this fast forward bit going in, I'm going to ask a favour. If new to my channel, please do hit the subscribe button, comment and like on the video. All the things that help us and support us here on YouTube. So as you can see, I've put that banding across. So if I turn it over, it's a lot subtler on the other side, but I've got all of that, you know, that subtle shading going on. I'm bringing in the blue, which to me is like your sunshine and your showers, and it's picking up some of those details. Right, so let's get on with the next part. So I want to start adding the frames now to this piece. So I'm just going to glue them in place and I'm going to layer them up. And then I need to put it to one side because obviously it will take a little bit of while for it to stick to the parchment. Right, I'm going to let it dry because I need to cut away all the excess vellum. So once it's dry, my plan will be to obviously cut away the excess vellum, turn it over, and what I've done is I've cut out another frame so it can now sit on the inside, which will hide any of my cutting and also make that panel a little bit more rigid. Okay, so the card is dry. I've added my piece on the back to hide where I cut the excess vellum away, and then I've just created myself a card blank and joined it at the top. So now I've got a tent-fold card. I thought if I did that part, you'll be able to see what I'm doing next, because obviously against the matting here probably wasn't my best choice to video on. But I didn't know whether, so what I did do in between whilst everything was drying was I didn't know whether I wanted to have a like a bigger sun to sit on, and then my frame could sit there like that, and I could add these extra elements, whoops, she says, behind to create the illusion of the sunshine going against there. But that was the plan in my head, and then obviously adding in the different flowers. Now I often do this. I will have an idea, and then as I'm creating, I go off and I think of another idea that works with it or doesn't work with it as such. So, but that was the idea in my head, that I could create like the sunshine and flowers from there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to risk it, and I'm going to colour up this circle to start with, and I'm going to bring in the colours that I did before. So you've got all that little bit of detailing, and everything just ties in together. Right, so if I take the card and I put this on, it stands out. But what I was saying is if I stuck it to the reverse, say inside, it looks a little bit more, it's got a little bit more of the shadow effect to it. So for example, if I stuck it like that and then, whoops, everything's all caught up together, I can put my frame on top. I can still put the die cuts that I want to behind to add a little pop of the yellow. So I can change, so the sunshine now looks a little bit more muted. If I want a bit more drama, I could take this part out. I could still put my frame on. And I've got my sunshine. And I could still, because I've obviously used the waste from the die cuts as my stencil, I can add those on in the background just to add a little bit of pop of colour. You don't notice them as much, but they create a little bit more of a textural image. So now I've set myself a quandary. So I'm going to pause the video, faff around with these pieces, and then come back. And hopefully a plan will have emerged. I'm settled on an idea in my head and we're just going to go with it. Now, the circle I'm going to put underneath. Now, I've decided I'm not going to use it. I will save it for another project. I feel in my head I should have cut one that was slightly smaller maybe. But hey, I can use it. I've got another idea for it, so I'm not going to go to waste. But what I do want to do is I do want to use it as a placement for all the other different elements. And I'm going to stick and use the elements that I've got here. And I'm going to use them so as a placement. So these are now going to be stuck down, but stay within that actual circle. Now, everyone taking part in this month's YouTube Hop can be found in my description box with links directly to either their videos or their channels. Please do take a moment to pop over because you'll see their interpretation of this month's theme and also the type of products they've used to create their finished projects. Right, so I've got those stuck down, and as I said, I use the circle as my guiding part, and I quite liked it. So when I put the frame on the top, I've still got that little pop of yellow, which is like your sunshine, but the big ball of yellow isn't so overpowering. So let's just stick this down in place, and I've just used some 3D foam pads on the back. So that's now stuck down, and then I'm just going to place some of the other flowers that I have already stamped and cut out, and I'm going to put some stuck down and some I'll put with 3D foam. So let's get the foam ready just in case. Right, so they're stuck in place. I have got some more flowers, but I want to hold off on using those until I work out what sentiment I'm going to use and where I'm going to place it, because then that could be part of the decoration. But I did die cut a few butterflies. You can see, so I thought they would actually add to it as well. So I've got the butterflies there now. They could stay in cream, or I could colour them up. And if I was going to colour them up, I think I would do it so it was like a bit of a match to the background. Put that to one side and grab the butterflies, and we'll just add some colour for now. Okay, right, I've chosen my sentiment. As I said, I was holding off doing the last few bits, and it says, wishing you a day of special moments, full of special moments. And I can put it in the centre, or I can put it to one side. I'm going to go, I don't know why, but I'm going to go to one side, and I'm going to raise this up again with a little bit of 3D dots, foam pads. I've forgotten their name just then. And I can always add a little bit more in places. Right, so that's my card there, and if I take away the background, you can see the translucent nature of the vellum. But just as a little bit of a nod, what I'm going to do is I'm just to the showers, going to take some glossy accents, and I'm just picking different places where I can put them, just one or two. So I've just dragged my pokey tool through just to give the illusion of, you know, like raindrops coming down. So that's my finished card. And as I said, I've picked the Sunshine and Showers theme more to be about the colours than the actual theme itself. So these are leftover pieces I've had from cutting out the first card I made. So this is the panel. I've then cut another frame out of it. I've done exactly the same with the vellum, which was emboss it to create another piece from it. And what I want to do is I just want to start building up the card, but this time I'm going to actually put a little bit of the shading on the front. So my Sunshine and Showers, gosh, I can't even say that, is a little bit more nod of it on the front of my card blank. So I've decorated the frame. I'm going to stick the parchment to the back here. And then what I'm going to do is, this is obviously another piece from the frame, I'm going to create my card blank. And once they're all dry, I'll be back with you. Right, so I've gone ahead and stuck that down, created my card base, and now it's the next part. Now in the first card, you remember I did that circle and I couldn't decide whether I wanted to use it or not. So I'm actually want to use it, but use it on this card, but do what I originally thought, which was put it behind. So I'm going to roughly cut it in half. And from one of the other floral frame sets, I've stamped and coloured with pencils one of the floral images, and I want to add that to my card. So all I'm doing now is working out what sort of placement. And I have found that, remember I did 3 of these, I've got one of these left, so I could add this behind to keep that going. But what I'm going to do to make it go a little bit further is I'm just going to cut it in half. And I'm looking at roughly where I want to put the placement of the flower and which way round. And I've got some of the butterfly left, so I'm going to add those to the card as well. Now, I don't know if it needs another floral, but I'm actually quite tempted, for me, to keep this quite clean and simple. I hope you enjoyed my twist on this month's theme. Okay, might be taking it a little bit, who knows. Anyhow, pop over to everybody else. They're all linked below, and take care and see you all soon.